Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Nature Connection show with Lisa and Nancy, publishers of Big Blend magazines, and nature photographer Margot Carrera. Welcome, everybody. Today, we're excited to have Jessica Carter back on the show. She is the Director of Parks and Public Engagement for the Save the Redwoods League. This is one of our oldest conservation nonprofits in the country. They do amazing work. And what do? They save the redwoods. So check them out at savetheredwoods.org. She's back on the show. She was on with us last year talking about what this amazing event. It is California State Parks Week, and it runs June 12th through 16th. And it's put together by the California State Parks, Save the Redwoods League, and Parks California and the California Parks Foundation. And so it's really pretty cool because when you look at California, Jessica, welcome back. Is it over 200? How many parks do we have now in California for state parks?
We have 280 state parks in California. It is an enormous system, and the biodiversity, the landscapes, the people, it is the definition of diverse in every way.
Yeah. So you're up in the Redwoods area?
I am. Well, I'm based out of the San Francisco Bay Area, cool. But we work all across the Coast Redwood Range and the Giant Sequoia Range. And a lot of those state parks out there are actually redwood parks. So we've been deeply involved for 100 years.
So nice. Nancy's got the ocean. Margot, you're in the Redwoods. And Margot, even though she lives in San Diego, Margot, you've got state parks right at your back door.
Oh my gosh, I've got so many along the coast and all the way to the desert and
Brago that I have
and
here.
Heading towards LA. And yeah, I'm totally surrounded, and I just amazed. I got this. I just want to show you. I got this map. And just I don't know if you can see it online, but really quickly.
She's trying.
I'm trying.
That's funny.
Look how I'm just gonna go through showing you how
you disappeared.
Many 280 look like.
You went away.
You went away. She went under the water. She's playing Loch Ness.
I went away. Okay, well, I'm okay, but this is a huge map, and there are thousands of dots on here for the California State Park. So I guess 280 maybe.
I've been trying to add up how many parks there are, national, state, municipality parks in the world. So I have this list of countries, and nobody can agree on how many countries there are in the world. So I'm like, well, okay. So it's between 195 and 200. And so I'm clicking on every country that I can click on and going to find out what their parks are and finding their parks board, so I can make a database of who to contact to talk about what parks. But it's overwhelming.
It's insane. And then you think about California, it's 280 parks, and you look at our national park system that covers all 50 states. Has 497? It always changes. I wouldn't remember it was 397 when we started our Love Your Park store. Now it's 400, and I'm going to be wrong no matter what I say. But it's over 400.
I think it's 463.
I think so, something like that. But when you think California has like half, their state parks is like half of what the National Park Service has. That's an incredible amount. So with California State Parks Week, I mean, this is going on how many years now, this celebration?
This is our third annual, so our third year. And cool. It's been so successful. I think it's going to have a long future ahead.
Yeah, because I was reading over 200 events already for a third year.
Yes,
that's insane.
I know. Each year it has grown pretty significantly. Last year we had, I think it was about 192, and this year, I think the count is over 220. And the parks the parks and their partners are embracing this opportunity to welcome people at the start of summer and really showcase everything they can do in the parks.
And the other thing that I really like when I was reading the events is there's get to know, there's forest bathing, there's yoga, And then, so
Mm.
I just want to go, can we bring goats into the park too? But just if we can do goat yoga, that'll be great. But you have events that are going in regards to volunteering too. So there's cleanups. I think, Margot, one of the events is in Cardiff Beach, which is near you, and that's a cleanup, which is fantastic. So people can get out there, make new friends, but actually do something towards their park. And, as visitors, I always feel like we need to be stewards as well as visitors. So I think these
Mhm.
events are kind of
Mhm.
geared that way, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, each day has kind of a loose theme, although the overarching point is just to promote state parks and make the access as easy as possible for everyone. But it is true, Sunday, June 16th, the theme for that day is Care for Our Shared Lands, and there are a lot of volunteer and stewardship opportunities that day, all over the place. So yeah, and part of this too, it's about first and foremost celebrating the parks and getting people out there. But it's also about celebrating everyone, the partners and the communities that help support the parks on a day-to-day basis with things like
Mm.
volunteering and stewardship.
That's awesome. Margot, you
Mm.
got to go. You got to go take pictures.
Oh, I do. I really want to go to the Cardiff event because it was one of the places we visited, and I was surprised that like the children's area was overgrown. You couldn't walk down a path. And I just want to go in there with my
Nah.
scissors and and cut things back and make them beautiful, because I saw a park in Temecula where it had an organization of volunteers. And I know last year you spoke, Jessica, about volunteers helping out. Um, it had a group and that place was pristine. I even posted a video so people can enjoy the moment of the clear, clean water and the flowers growing all around. And I thought I would find something similar when I went to the other park, and without the volunteers, they do the best they can do, but things were overgrown. So everybody show up and make that park beautiful, because it really does take volunteers to help
does.
out. It really
Mm.
does. Can you
Mhm.
address volunteers, Jessica? Or
Can I,
volunteering? Yeah.
yeah, each park and state parks district kind of has their own approach to volunteering and different types of programs. And I think, yeah, I mean, you can definitely tell a difference when there is an engaged community around a park. And but I also think each of us, whenever we go to visit, can do our part too. Like, we can pack it in, pack it out, or if we see some, pick up a little trash along the way. I think each of us, that's, something that I know we like to encourage, is just doing our part, no matter what that might look like, right?
And
Yeah.
how does this also help in regards to funding? Because how are our parks in California, the state parks, regarding funding? Because I know we're always beating the drum for our forests and for our National Park Service, and we need organizations like Save the Redwoods, League, to go in and help even with those fundraising, reforesting. I mean, the sequoias, that's still a huge project, after the fires and storms. But for California state parks as a whole, how are they doing in funding?
Yeah. Oh gosh, that is a big
Uh-oh.
question, Lisa. No, I mean, it's, our state parks, of course, they have their, base appropriations funding, but they're
Mm.
definitely facing a lot of challenges. I mean, with climate
Mhm.
change and some of the outcomes of that going on, like you mentioned, with storms and fires, it can be really difficult to repair, restore, and get them back opened again when some of those events take place. I also think we just have a growing population and a growing demand for
For sure.
a growing demand and need for more
Mm,
outdoor space and maintaining the recreational infrastructure and trails and everything. It is costly. There's a ton of support in California for parks and open spaces. And this California State Parks Week is part of Governor Newsom's Outdoors for All initiative. But it
mm,
takes all of us, and Save the Redwoods League California State Parks Foundation, Parks California, we're sponsoring partners for this week, but we are also partners in helping to make all that work happen, to keep parks open, to make sure that they are stewarded, restored, accessible to people. And we can certainly always use more funding for that. It is a never ending, it is a perpetual task. So there's always more work to do.
And you said accessible to people. How is accessibility in the parks? Is that something that the parks are looking at, being more accessible to people that need to be able to maybe have like boardwalks and things like that, to be, to actually go out there if they can't go out in the wilderness? Like, I've got the photo of Anza-Borrego Desert State Park behind me. A lot of people aren't going to go hiking through that in the summer. I will in the morning, but but if you go to the visitor center, you can do an accessible nature trail. And no matter who you are, you can do that and see the plants, and they're all documented and interpreted and things like that. And by the way, Anza-Borrego Desert State Park, over 600,000 acres of desert, which is amazing. And I think it's the largest desert we have in the contiguous US, which is pretty state park. That's pretty good. Go state parks. Go California.
Well, and I think just to address your question about accessibility, it's a huge priority for all of us, and accessibility in every sense of the word. So making sure that experiences and exhibits are available to people of all abilities, and also making sure that they're available to all communities. Historically, there have been communities that have been excluded from the parks or have not been able to reach them as easily. And so it's, about making sure that everyone can get there, and that when they get there, they are welcomed and inspired and find something that is, resonates for them.
I love that. I love that. Nancy, you and I have done a lot of state parks in California. Like we did the Columbia Ghost, I was going to say ghost town, but it is haunted. It's really haunted in Columbia. It's super haunted.
I want to go there.
No, I've got ghost
It's
photos.
cool.
Oh, there were shadows. It was the shadow.
See them.
Wow.
No, Columbia is the best preserved gold rush town. And it's out, if you go, we always think about Yosemite, and we go to Yosemite, but around that area, you've got Jamestown has the rail town, which is the mother, they call it the mother train, but it's the movie railroad, and like over 200 movies and TV shows and commercials have been filmed on the mother road, which you and I got to go to, Nancy. So we've done, it's just, I'm kind of wanting to give people the idea of parks, because I think every time we always think just nature, but there's history that is being preserved, archaeological sites being preserved in these parks as well. So that's the other part when people go.
And whenever you go to a park, even if you go to the same park over and over, you always see something different if you're looking, and I've learned to now not always look at the same horizon level. But, like I have crawled through a park on my hands and knees to look at it, to try and see what a small child sees. Like
Nancy, you were in the Grand Canyon and you were just scared. You were up on the cliffs. Tell the truth. She started crawling because she was scared.
No, the Grand Canyon's awesome. There was part of me that wanted to fly, like right over one of the cliffs, because I just wanted to see what it would be like to be a bird. Because they sail and they just keep their wings out. They don't flap, and they just go and they sail and they go round and round. I'm like, Dad, that must be fun. I want to do that without motors and noise and stuff, just to glide like that.
But you give a good point about how to experience the parks in a different way for different people, like for kids and things.
Yeah, for kids it's different. Yeah, it's a difference. When you get older, it's a difference. And when you're teenage years, it's a difference. They're all looking for different things in the experience. And so, and the parks deliver it. It just depends whether or not you can see it. Your mind can see it, like embrace it. That's a better word.
But I was going to say, I think this State Parks Week gives that opportunity for people to pick an event that kind of aligns with them and makes them realize, number one, yeah, look at all these parks, over 200 and 280 parks and all these types.
That's
And then
awesome.
tell us a little bit about some of the activities for maybe the youth, especially.
Yeah, well, okay, so I grabbed the number. It's 228 activities right now, and that
Wow.
number seems to keep ticking up as we get towards June. So there are, I think that's what's really amazing about this, is that there's genuinely something for everyone, no matter what you're into. If you like, of course, the like hiking and walking, there's always going to be an opportunity for people to do that in almost any park. There's yoga, kayaking. I saw in the it's at californiastateparksweek.org. That is where you can go to find everything. I saw an owl meet and greet. I thought,
I love
how
that.
cool.
I want to
That's
go.
cool.
Hootie.
I love
want to
that.
go see Hootie.
I know. And you know, I'm super familiar with the activities and events that are going on in the Redwoods, being from Save the Redwoods League, and there's some really great ones. Up in Hendy Woods, they have a stargazing program at night that is so
cool.
incredible. Even farther up north in California, up on the north coast at Sume State Park, they have a guided tour of the traditional Yurok village. And then, you know,
Cool.
Nancy, you were talking about getting different perspectives. And there's one really exciting one in Big Basin, Redwoods State Park. It's an Art in the Park event, and it's a big community event. That's on the Saturday. And the park, well, of course, there was a really significant fire a couple of years ago that destroyed a lot of the forest and infrastructure, and they've been rebuilding. They've been planning and re-envisioning that special place for these last few years, and they've started to open it back up. And over this past year, they did sort of a commissioning with several artists. And this day in the park will feature a lot of the art outcomes from that. And it's really experiential, but there'll also be a lot of community organizations tabling. So just an example of how there is something for everyone, no matter what perspective or experience you're looking for.
I love that also you have in Cuyamaca, Rancho Cuyamaca, which is out by Julian in San Diego, you know, apple pie country, wine country, that there's a reforestation event. And I think that's really important for people to understand wildfires. So often with what's happening with wildfires, you're seeing everybody argue about forest management, fire, and climate change. And honestly, when you go to these kinds of events and can be part of it, you actually understand the ecosystem, and then you'll start to understand climate change better, I think, with how these fires are getting hotter. So that kind of intel is important. So these informative, you know, and it's important. I mean, there's Cuyamaca is like, oh man, it's magic. There's a little lake. You can go out and there's frogs. I remember
very
filming
cool.
frogs out there the last time, but you can hike up to the top of Stonewall Peak and look down, depending on where you are, down over where Anza-Borrego is. So they're shouldering parks, which is really awesome to explore and experience. But there's like little waterfall areas and creeks, and Rancho Cuyamaca, they have azalea season, which is awesome. So it's yeah, man, I'm kind of missing home.
Well, yeah, and you know, when you go into a park, no matter where it is, it's really on how you take in a park. Like, are you trying to make the park what you want it to be, or are you trying to absorb what the park offers? There's a difference in a mindset on when you travel and see beautiful things. Is do you take it for granted that, well, of course it should be here, or do you even in a small pocket park, there's things to observe and see, especially if you get on your hands and knees.
Oh, she's back on her hands and knees again.
No, well, just because you have to see, you have to look up, you have to look straight forward. I mean, you have to look at the birds. That's where I always trip, because I'm always talking to a squirrel or a bird or something. And then you trip, and then you get to see down close where the ants are. You know?
Well, you know, but that's the thing
But
about
it's
going on
cool.
like an interpretive hike or something with a ranger.
Yeah.
sometimes that's a really cool way of learning to observe. Like I think photographers, Margot, as a photographer,
Yes.
and Nancy as an artist, you know how to observe and
Mhm.
we're the slow people on a hike because none of
Yeah.
us stop photographing and like, ooh, look at this.
Right.
Now I sound that. No, I've only taken 2 steps, but it's a good thing we have digital cameras now. But but
Mhm.
Jessica, with those kind of hiking experiences or trails, having rangers and interpreters, do you think people start to really see things they would have just walked by maybe?
Absolutely. I mean, the Rangers are incredible. Every
Yeah.
single
Mhm.
time I get to
Mhm.
go on a ranger-led program, I
Mm.
learn something and walk away inspired. And I think what's incredible also is that they are leading programs on such a wide range of topics. I mean, there's always, the natural resource-based component, like, the ecology and um, landscape of a park, but increasingly rangers are really talking about communities and culture and finding really interesting ways to celebrate health and well-being
Mm,
outside, which we know that parks are absolutely essential to individual well-being, but also community well-being. And
Right.
so, yes, and they are the greatest. I get to work with a lot of rangers and they are heroes. I mean, they are inspiring people every single day.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
I think they're the rock stars of the parks, other
Yeah,
than
they
the
are.
animals and plants. You know what I mean? They
Mm.
are, because every time, whenever we go do like a press trip with a park person, you anybody sees a park person, they have a uniform or a hat on, like there's no they they're like the public's, they're public domain.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well,
Yes.
it's true. The everybody goes running like, what about this? What about that? What about this?
Mhm.
So I love these events because I think it just gets people open-eyed. They start to wonder, they start to
Mhm.
value our parks too. That's the
Yeah.
nature connection, isn't it, Margot? That's what it's all about.
It is. It actually for me, I feel like she was talking about health. I feel it really feeds my soul. When you've
Mm.
been in a house all week and not out in nature, and then you step into a park or a forest, it's a totally different kind of energy flowing to you and very healing, um, very nurturing, and
Mm,
just to experience the difference in the two. Because a lot of people, well, during COVID, were homebound,
Mhm.
and I physically have a problem, but so I'm home during the week, and then on the weekends, I make sure I get to a park.
mm,
It's
Mm.
if I have to at least one Saturday or Sunday, I just have to I have to be out in nature, even if
mm.
it's just in my backyard. But it really, um, I can't explain it. It
It's
really
healing.
helps on such a
It's
high level.
restorative. It
Yeah.
restores
Mhm,
Yes.
it,
Yes.
and the
Fills you
four
up.
walls in a house, no matter how nice the home is, no matter if you go from room to room to room, you're still in four walls. And you got tiny windows to look out of. Sometimes people have big windows to look out of, but it is not the same because you don't get the breeze or the smell,
mm,
and you can't walk up and look closely at a flower.
mm.
The
It's
butterflies,
I just
yeah.
saw
the
tons of butterflies where we
birds.
are. There's
Yeah.
butterflies everywhere, and I'm like,
Oh, this is
we
amazing
just
where we are
stand
right
there.
now.
I just want to be full of like the butterfly thing when it's butterfly season, and they're amazing how they go up to the top of
Mhm.
trees. And we're always thinking butterflies and flowers, but how they're connected with trees is so fascinating to me. And I think that's the thing. You're going to find something in these different events to connect with. And you're right. I mean, going out, it's restorative, but that's like that forest bathing event, Jessica. I think
Mhm.
a lot of us think about, oh, forest bathing. Do I just go there and say, hey, I'm in the forest, I'm bathing now? Someone turned the sprinklers on. I don't know. But so I think to go to an actual event to actually learn, because it's something,
Mhm.
it's an ancient way to be, to get the insight of that would be really cool for people to understand that.
Yeah. Well, and as as a presenting partner, Save the Redwoods League is a presenting partner, but for the league, as well as California State Parks Foundation and Parks California, in our partnership with state parks, part of our work is to provide the ability for communities, oftentimes for people who are having a first time experience in parks, to come and do exactly those
Nice.
things. And that's, that's one way that we support state parks, is by we have a Redwood Rides program, which provides direct transportation for communities into Redwood parks. And to have an opportunity during State Parks Week, where we have, amazing rangers, state parks rangers, leading these programs, whether it's, bringing some supplies out and doing some guided nature journaling, or like you said, Lisa, forest bathing, where that might sound if you haven't been to the parks, like, someone might think, oh gosh, what the heck is that? But it's just, guided meditation and being present in nature. And so that is definitely part of the value of this week, is that we have folks out there very actively leading these programs.
I think like what
Nice.
Margot says too, it's like, go out and calm down, because there's so much drama in the world. You turn on the news and you're just like, that's it, I'm going in my garden. We need to heal and restore and calm down. And I think that's the quickest, best way. And it makes us realize how big the world is, and yet how small the world is when you go in a park. It's like, oh wow, we're all connected, So it's cool. It's very cool. It's great to have you back on the show. Everyone, again, go to the website, castateparksweek.org. We also have a page for it up on our nationalparktraveling.com website. But before you go, savetheredwoods.org. All the links we're talking about are in the show notes. So wherever you're watching or listening, just look in the show description. But can you give everyone a little quick overview before you go, Jessica, on how old Save the Redwoods League is? Because you guys aren't you one of the oldest? Like, not you, but the organization is pretty.
Yes.
You guys are you're growing in years.
So we were founded in 1918, not 2018. Wow. We were founded in 1918, and Save the Redwoods League actually helped to establish California state parks, and we've been collaborating ever since then. But our purpose is to protect and restore the California redwoods and connect people to their peace and beauty. So we are the connect piece is where I come in, and is where California State Parks Week comes in. But we our California redwoods are not only iconic, but they exist only in the state of California, and they are so important to our identity and to our climate resilience, and they're pretty special. So I would encourage anyone listening, if you have a chance, get out to a redwood or giant sequoia park for State Parks Week.
Hug them. Yeah. And if you can, go to Oric in the redwoods, and go to Gold's Bluff Beach. And I heard you guys did some more rescuing of redwood forests out that way too recently.
We have a very big project up north, and it's called the Arau Redwoods Gateway. And I would be happy to chat with you about that anytime. But we are restoring a former timber mill up there, and fully restoring the segment of creek and the landscape. And our vision is actually to transfer that property to the Yurok tribe in 2026 to be co-managed with Redwood National and State Parks, to welcome the millions of visitors to that special part of Yurok country and our state.
That's awesome. Nice. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for all that you do. And everyone too, keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. And Margot, tell everybody where they can find you. On Etsy, margotcarrera.etsy.com. I'm just doing that at the top of my head.
Yeah,
so
you got it
right.
right.
I think I type it a lot. I go in there because she does all kinds of cool, photography, amazing gifts and prints and all kinds of good stuff. So thank you all for joining us. Yeah, all nature. It's all about nature. Yeah. It's all about nature.
Wrap yourself in nature.
See,
there you go. My scarves. Yeah.
That's it. There it is. Thanks so much, Jessica.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio's Nature Connection show. Follow us at bigblendradio.com and keep up with Margot at margotcarrera.etsy.com.